Back, it's Mark. Well, we're not going fishing. I'm going to Kansas City for a wedding, but I thought I would talk about selling the Heritage today. It is for sale on Facebook Marketplace. That's the only place I have it listed. Is on there. I don't do the Craigslist. Craigslist kind of turned into a weird deal lately, so I don't mess with Craigslist anymore. I don't really mess with eBay anymore either. Just their fees are outrageous on the seller end of things. So, at any rate, the 2018 Heritage Classic is for sale. It's equipped with a 40 horsepower 4-stroke Mercury. It also has the 55-pound thrust 45-inch shafted Tarova 45-inch shafted with the foot pedal, 45-inch shafted with the foot pedal, and the remote control. Both of those are handy. I'll tell you what, you're sitting there tying up in your seats, or you just want to sit there, you don't want to stand up on the deck. That remote, you just sit right there and hang out and operate the boat like so. And of course the pedal has a myriad of options, so it's a very comfortable pedal. There's no need to put a pedal tray in this boat. That pedal's only about that high. Now the old ones, I shouldn't say old ones, but the cable driven models, the foot pedal sits a lot higher, thus the need to do a tray is probably true. It's got Canon rod holders all the way around. I believe there's 4 rod holders and 4 mounts. There's 2 extensions for the rod holders. You can move them all around. You can put them wherever you want. It's got boat buckles. It's got a night light with it's got a green lens, or you can take it off for white light. And that's on a switch on the dash. It's, of course, got a casting deck. Granted, the carpet doesn't match, but the new owner can do that how he pleases if he wants the casting deck at all. It will come with a butt seat and post. The Lowrance 9-inch TI with a CMAP mapping card will come in that unit as well, and that's at the dash. That does have the 3-in-1 transducer. You get standard sonar, you get side imaging and down imaging out of that unit. And up front, you're gonna get the Garmin 93SV, which is a very nice unit. This boat does come with live scope. I have taken the transducer off, and it's gonna go on the sea light mount that comes with the boat, and the new owner can decide where he wants to put that, whether it be on the left side or right side. It just depends on them. That's why I'm not gonna mount this. I'll leave it up to the new owner how he wants it, because why make them move it around if they don't want it there? So there's the bubbler system into the live well. There's of course the charger works great. It's a 2-bank charger, XPS model, and it has not yet failed me, so knock on wood. What else does the boat have? It's got a ton of storage. I would argue that it has more storage than some boats that cost more than it. But at any rate, my asking price with all the electronics is $12,000. The motor's got a little over 100 hours on it, which is for its lifespan, it's in its infancy. These motors will run for a long time if you just put oil in them, change the oil, change the gear oil, and don't hit any trees and stumps. You should be all right for many, many, many years. So, at any rate, that's the deal on the boat. The boat asking price is $12,000. Of course, I'll listen to offers. It's been up there for over a week now. It's got about 1,000 views, several questions through Messenger, and a couple people want to look at it when I get back from Kansas City. So I'm not in a big hurry. I do want to sell this boat to somebody, though, that maybe wants to make a difference in their life with this boat like it did for me. So there we go. That's enough about the boat. If you have any questions about the boat, feel free to comment or get a hold of me at mjbfishingllc@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook if you have any questions. But I've been away for a little bit. I had a ton of company. I was at the Big Bass Bash. We can get into that heartbreaking story now. I went to the Big Bass Bash thinking, no problem, I can find a 3 or 4 pounder in 2 days. I caught a ton of fish, nothing over 2 pounds, 3 ounces. I caught a few like that. And I could not replicate anything I've been doing recently. And that's kind of been consistent even at home. I'm not finding the big ones. And, you know, I don't quite know what's going on. It could be the weather. It could be the low lake level. There's a ton of things that could be wrong here. Oh, there's a garbage dump. That's nice. At any rate, I had a great time. I really did. I never in a million years imagined how many people would be there. From what I heard, and somebody may be able to correct me, there was 3,600 entries. So well over 2,000 boats, if you think about it. You know, there were people fishing alone, but the majority had 2 people in their boats. So, you know, over 2,000 boats, well over 2,000 boats, on top of it being a nice weekend, October 1st and 2nd out there. There were boats everywhere. The main lake was like being in the ocean. All right, Jace, I just saw that. At any rate, this tournament had so many people in it. It was well run for what it is. It was very well run. To deal with that many people is amazing. I mean, I have a hard enough time dealing with 100 people in a tournament, let alone thousands. And I didn't win anything. Typically, that hurts. But, you know, this is the heartbreaking side of this. So I went home, and my mom and Larry showed up, and, well, they didn't show up. They were planned on being out at our house. It took them a while. They were gone for like a few weeks. Anyway, they wanted to go out on the boat when I got home. They hadn't seen the new boat. And I hurried up, threw the stuff off the boat that didn't need to be there, and I left the SD card from that whole tournament. It's a 400 gigabyte card, and at 1080 60 it'll hold about 24 hours of footage. And So I put both days on that card, and I'm fairly certain that it blew off. I mean, they're only this big, the size of a dime, and I'm fairly certain it blew off into Bull Shoals when I took them out on the water. Granted, there was nothing exciting other than a bunch of 1 to 2 3/4 pound bass being caught. I'd say I caught at least 10 or 12 each day. So what I was doing was working, it just wasn't finding the right ones. But when you would go into a cove, there would be, I mean, we're talking about a small cove too, maybe one that you could fish in 15 minutes. There would be 5 boats in that, like every 100 feet. It was very, you know, as far as etiquette goes, that was not a thing. I didn't have any issues because I just, you know, at that point, I'm not going to stir the pot. My name's all over the boat. Like, there's no reason to get pissed. There's just too many people. So, Saturday and Sunday, I made a point to find fresh water for myself. I got on the lake way early, hour and 20 minutes early on the first day, and it was cold. So I got to my spot and sat there for an hour. You couldn't make a cast till 7 a.m. So, you know, and right when I started making cast, I was catching fish. I thought I was onto something, but clearly not. And the following day, I set up out of the Osage Beach PB2 launch that the main weigh-in station for the tournament was there. There were several around the lake, but that was the main deal. That's where the prizes were going to be given. And I went back to some familiar water, being that I've only been there one other time, and tried to make it happen, and just couldn't do it. So, lost footage, sucks, but, you know, I'm just glad I didn't catch some 7 or 8 pounder. Winning weight, by the way, was 6.22. 2 people caught that. Hey, Christopher. Anybody else that's saying hi? 622, like I said, was the winning weight, and 2 people caught that exact same size fish. The difference, $100,000 was first place, $20,000 for second place. How they determine, in case you don't know, a tiebreaker in this is whoever registered for the tournament first. So it sounds hokey, it sounds kind of like a bad deal, but you know, that I guess that rule has been there for a long time, and that's just, you know, everybody plays by the same rules. So the guy that ended up winning the $100,000 registered on September 3rd, and the guy that got second place registered on like September 30th, a day before the tournament, or 2 days before. So $80,000 swing because you didn't register on the right date. That's tough. But you know, that's the way it is. Like I said, everybody played by the same rules. 20 grand is nothing to sneeze at. I will do this tournament again. I don't know if I'll be able to do all 3 of them, but there's 2 at Lake of the Ozarks, 1 in the spring, 1 in the fall, and 1 at Grand Lake in this area. And I've never fished Grand Lake. I'd like to. I probably won't fish in this event unless I fish Grand Lake first. And I want to say that's kind of in the early summer, June-ish, which I'll be doing the USA Bassin deal, and I'm going to try and do either the Arky or the Ozark division of the MLF Bass Cat series. That's something I really want to do, and if I can pull it off. Problem with that is they're Saturday events, so I might have to check with work before I get too crazy with that. All my USA Bassin events are on Sundays, so that helps. Thank you, Jace. Thank you very much. Drive safe. I got about an hour and 45 minutes on this road. I'm in Bolivar, Missouri, which I believe, or I'm going to Bolivar. Bolivar, I believe, is where the nitro was made. And I think that the Heritage was made in Lebanon. Here in southern Missouri, it's not Lebanon, it's Lebanon. I didn't know that until I moved here, but I've been corrected many times. Drop the A. Lebanon. But back to this Big Bass Bash deal. It was an experience. I don't know that I did anything wrong, but I'd say after about 10 in the morning, it's very difficult to find water that nobody else has fished. That makes sense anyway. But you got to be on top of your dock game, which I'm not. You got to be very patient. Basically finesse fishing around docks. Where I was getting all my fish was on topwater between the docks, up against, basically the lake's got a lot of concrete walls with broken chunk rock and stuff lining it. And I got most of my topwater bites in those areas, and a couple in off the beaten path on some laydowns in the backs of these little creeks or coves. But I can't even say that I had one on that was big enough to say I lost one that was worth money. I didn't. So what would I do different? I don't know. I really don't know. I probably would throw a jig around more. I did. I threw everything. I threw everything I had that made sense. A lot of people talk about a black buzzbait up there. I threw buzzbait around for an hour each day and didn't get so much as a strike. The only bites I was getting on topwater were on the white spook. And I think I got one on a spinnerbait. Everything else, I couldn't make it happen. We are now in Bolivar. So, at any rate, Big Bass Bash, that chapter's closed. We're gonna move forward. I am probably not gonna fish. There's some stuff I wanted to start doing to the boat. If I can sell the Heritage pretty soon, I'm probably going to rewire. I don't like how the 93 SP that came on the new boat was wired up. So I'll be rewiring that and basically setting that up for a self-contained unit up in the forward rod coffin on the driver's side. That is going to basically be ready to have a lithium battery added right there. Very short wire runs, very clean and neat install, and have everything in one spot. And basically be able to charge that all on its own. And with a Noco charger that I'll be buying for that. And that will free up a lot of space on the cranking battery. The cranking battery will lose at least one fish finder, if not two, and the live scope will all be coming off of that. So that'll help the longevity of that battery quite a bit. For those of you that don't know, the live scope does suck your battery. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'd like to get a 12-inch screen on the dash. I don't really know what brand yet, whichever one has the best deal. I don't really care. So that'll stay that way, but I do like the live scope stuff, and so Garmin will stay up front. If I do buy a new unit, for the dash, I'll take that 9-inch Garmin up front and put it with the other one and use that for basically mapping and waypoints. And just have a 12-inch at the dash, which I've been in several boats that have that set up, and the 12-inch at the dash just gives you so much of a better look when you're side scanning. And that's something that I want to get better at. Side scanning is, there's an art to all this. And if you can learn how to use these electronics the way that they're designed, you can probably maximize your fishing and catching potential. I do in the future think LiveScope will probably get banned at tournaments. There's a lot of people complaining about it. It's a huge business though. Like, fish finders have kind of run their course as far as what they can do with just traditional sonar and all this stuff. The next logical thing was a live look at what was going on. I mean, aside from putting a camera down there that's attached to your fish finder, this is the best thing that you're going to get. It is live. You see the fish moving. Just because that's happening doesn't mean you're going to catch them either. So they, you got to be able to use the equipment to find the fish and then have the right thing on there to entice them to bite. But when you do get all that together, it's pretty magical. I mean, watch these pros that do it. They win tournaments on it every time almost. So something that's interesting about it is, they came out with a new model that's I think it's the LSV 34 transducer, which, is newer. It must have some more technology in it. However, the 32 model that was out right before this one came out is a great unit, and the prices are coming down. I would not, if you're on the fence about wanting this, I wouldn't spend the money on the 34. I would buy the 32 on sale. And I would not buy this. It is a very expensive thing that you add on to an already expensive thing. You're looking at well over $2,000 for a setup. So, you got to weigh that with, what you're doing. Are you going fishing once a month, and hanging out? I would not buy this. If you're fishing for money, or you're fishing for the 15 crappie limit every day, it depends on where you live, but here in Missouri, it's 15. At my lake anyway. So if that's what you're doing, I highly recommend it. If not, I don't think I'd spend the money. I really wouldn't. I'd buy some decent 7 to 9 inch fish finders, and those will do you just right. Why is this guy in the middle of the road? Come on, man. I guess. That's why he's in the middle of the road. We had an 18-wheeler going very slow. He's thinking about getting over, but I'm going to blow past him. Not really blow past him because I'm still going under the speed limit. But anyway. I did buy some new rods this week. I didn't buy them this week. I bought them a couple weeks ago, but I was able to use them last weekend. They are cheap. They were $130. Hi, Steven. What did you miss? I basically talked about selling the boat for the first 5 or so minutes, and then I talked about the Big Bass Bash, and you know, I talked a lot about the Big Bass Bash, and now I'm talking about these rods I just bought from Abu Garcia, straight from them. They made these rods, and I don't know what year they came out. They may be a couple years old. I don't know. But they're called Virtual, and they're a cool color. Number one, they're Seahawk color, so I like that. But they have this technology in the very end, the butt end of the handle, that you can like link to your phone and measure or keep track of your fish catching, which I am not going to hook that up. I wasn't looking for that gimmick. What I was interested in was these rods were about $130 in the store. So they have them for $49.99. I was able to get a 7-foot spinning rod, medium, and a 7-foot casting rod, medium heavy, delivered to the house, both of those for $104. Now, for $50, I'm willing to try it. My Veritas rods, I got the same deal on. I got those through Shields though, when they were starting to blow them out for $49.99 a piece. For $50, the Veritas is hard to beat, in my opinion, for the money. So I thought, well, let's give these a try, even though they were more expensive than a Veritas in the store. This lady is all over the damn road. You gotta be careful. I mean, that's why I'm hands free. Except for my Bang energy drink. I don't usually drink energy drinks, but I couldn't go to sleep last night. The dog was going ape shit. Cat felt like it needed to knock stuff over. You know, I don't know. But these Abu Garcia rods, I went out. I had 2 outings. The medium heavy, I just threw topwater. I threw a frog and the Ghost. Basically the white spook with no gills, and absolutely whaled them. Nothing big though. I don't know where the big ones are, but they're not jumping in my boat. So we could be at that point where the lake's turning over, but I don't know. It's pretty low. It's 5 or so feet below pool, which pool is, you know, it's not that bad, but it does eliminate a lot of water. So I did see another deal, and maybe you guys can, if anybody's familiar with Arc, I believe it's called Arc rods. They had a deal, buy one get one free. So basically the same deal as the Abu Garcia rods. They're $100 rods, but you know, you buy one, you get one free. So that makes them $50 a piece. I don't know anything about them. Steve Miller shared that with me. So if anybody has any insight, that's a good deal. Now, I'm going to Shields, and I may have talked about this already, but I went to Shields up in Overland Park, Kansas, on the way back from buying the boat, or excuse me, on the way back from North Dakota. I think after I bought the boat. And they had some rods in there that you can't buy online, but they're on sale in the store. And if those are still there, I may pick those up today. They were Falcon Buku rods. One was like 7'1" or 7'2" medium heavy casting rod. It was $64. And then there was a spinning rod around the same price. I think the same price. It was like a 7-foot medium heavy, and I carried them around the store for like a half hour, and then put them back, just thinking, I can get them online, and that's not true. They do not. Shields, I guess, doesn't work that way, unless they're blowing out stuff company wide. But as far as local stuff that has stickers on it, you won't see those prices. You know, right now, I want to say the Buku, depending on what you buy, is $99 to $110, something like that, or $119. So if I can get these for the $64 I saw, that's like getting 2 for 1, sort of. So I will be trying to make it there. This wedding we're going to, I think we got to be on the shuttle at 4:30. Weddings at 5:30. It goes to however late you want to party. I may take the early shuttle. I normally wouldn't do that, but it's hell getting old. Let's see here. Hey, Jay. I'm headed to Kansas City, Stephen. Christopher, yeah. I mean, for the money, I think the 34 is probably better. But my point is, if you want to save $400 or $500 and get damn near the same thing, the 32 is available at a savings. Since everything else has gone up. Fish finders, okay? 9-inch fish finders used to cost $1,000, right around 1,100. All of a sudden, 9-inch fish finders, because they're live capable, regardless of what brand, are now $1,500 to $2,000. Garmin, you can still find 93s and 94 SVs for under $1,000 with the transducer. The transducers are kind of handy. Unless you're going straight live scope with it, I would buy the one with the transducer, because someday down the road you might want to sell it, and it's got way more appeal if it has a transducer with it. And I want to say to buy one with or without, it's $100 difference new. So I would pay the $100 just to have the $200 and something transducer to either sell down the road or include with it in a sale. Yeah, that's true. It really depends on what you're into. All the companies have a version of live now that, you know, the big three anyway, if you're talking about Humminbird, Lowrance, or Garmin. And I mean, I've been looking at the 12-inch Lowrance live to put on my dash, and that might be a real thing. So $12 inches of some kind. I don't know. They're about $2,500, brand new. There are some appealing deals out there. The boat in a box, basically, is what like the companies are calling it that are offering it, where you get everything to network, a 9-inch and a 12-inch HDS live, $4,600. You do save money doing that, buying it, but it is a swat. I mean, $4,600 is a lot of money to spend at one time for these video games. And it's not necessarily, if I did go with Lowrance and do that, it's not necessarily because I want their live. I like the Garmin one, but I do like the functionality of the Lowrance unit. I've had Lowrance units for years, and I do like them. Garmin just kind of has the market somewhat cornered on better live scoping. I'm not saying that any of these others are bad, but Garmin's got it locked down pretty good. So, and I already have all this stuff, so I don't need to buy that. I need a competent unit at the dash, and if I find something that goes up front that's networkable and it's at a decent price, I'll probably do it. Otherwise, it's going to be 2 Garmin's up front and something at the dash. Been seeing a lot of, let's go back to boat sales. I've been seeing a lot of tracker boats for sale all over the. There's a couple. There's a Heritage and there's a Classic XL, the before the paint job model. Very cheap, like $9,000. They don't have anything on them. One of them had a bunch of busted stuff, but it was all trivial. Like it needed a new cap on the trolling motor. So, you know, these are easy $10 here, $10 there type fixes. And if that's all that's wrong with it, that's a good deal. And I want to say that the Heritage was the one that needed all the work, and then the Classic XL model, that one didn't look bad at all. Just didn't have any real upgrades. I think one of them has live scope, but it still has the Minn Kota Edge 45, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's great on that boat, but most people are looking for a spot lock option or, you know, upgraded in some fashion. But these trolling motors have gotten expensive. You know, they didn't start out like this. I know I didn't pay $2,000 for my Terrova when I bought it. I want to say it was around $1,500 or so with the foot pedal and the remote, which now you kind of get one or the other for around that price. You don't get both. Now there's a fly in here. Now the interesting thing about the Terrova is, and I've been getting this a lot, would I buy another one? The answer to that is no. And here's why. It is an absolute nightmare to mount a transducer to it, a live scope to it of any kind. You're going to spend anywhere from $25 to make that happen, and that's using the bike cable model, which I've made a video about that, and it works. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a great, cheap way to do it. The other options are very expensive. If you just want traditional sonar up front, the best thing you can do is just buy the little Minn Kota. I don't know what the number is. It depends on your brand of fish finder, but it's just a little dongle that attaches to your unit to the transducer on the Terrova itself, and you eliminate all these wire issues. If traditional sonar is all you need up front. Now, whoever's buying my boat, for instance, is getting the separate Sealight turret, basically, that it's pretty neat. I don't know how much it cost. It came with the boat. I'm guessing over $200 probably, because that seems to be about right. And then they got these automated versions that are like $800 and up. I guess I don't need it that. The bass fishermen I know have the transducer for the live scope mounted up on the shaft of their trolling motor. So bass fishing's a little different than crappie fishing. Crappie fishing, you spend a lot of time sitting in one spot. So having a separate pole makes sense while you sit on spot lock. Now bass fishing, for myself anyway, I move a lot. I'm not really sitting in one spot. So as I'm driving the boat, I'm scanning with it. Obviously, if you're in spot lock with live scope, it's doing its own thing. I wouldn't rely on that a whole lot as a good tool. If it's dead calm, that thing won't move around a whole lot. But if you're moving at all, it's something to think about. If you're not a big bass fisherman and you're more of a sit still and watch the fish, I would do it on a separate pole. You're going to be upset. It's getting humid. fogging up. So how's everybody's weekend going? I should be at work today, but this wedding is probably going to be my last day off of work the rest of the year. It's busy at the amusement park this time of year. So I'm going to try and enjoy it, relax a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to take a month off, I think. I'm going to do a bunch of stuff to this new boat. I saw that, Christopher. If I was closer, I'd come fish with you, but I'm not going to be able to get there in time. Oh, man. I guess I should watch what I'm doing. Not that I'm not. Just when I get out on this open road, all of a sudden I'm going 80. Oh, these people are making TikToks on the side of the road with a flat tire. Dang. Good thing AAA was there to help them. Yeah. Speaking of yeah, you guys, I've been fishing. But I haven't been catching anything that's like, you guys want to watch me catch 14-inch bass? I didn't think so. They're not even keeper size. Like, I did have a day where I caught 3 spots recently that were all like over 2 pounds, and those are solid spots out of my lake. I would be okay with over 2 pound spots right now, but there's much bigger fish in this lake. I just don't know what they're doing right now. The lake, since I've lived here, seasonally has not been at the same level or temperature in the last 2.5 years. It's been doing different things. So it makes it interesting, and it's constantly changing. This is partially why I've been going to Taneycomo a lot. It doesn't change. The water is cold there too, and I was out there last Monday and caught 0. That's rare. That is super rare to get blanked out here. And that was frustrating. But bull shoals, you can always catch fish. It's just a matter of, where are these 3 and 4 and up pounders that make a difference. Catching 2 pounders out there is pretty easy. Getting into these bigger ones, though, where they should be, they're not there. And a lot of the waterways and the coves and creek arms are out of the water. So these places that, like, I've made videos this time of year last year, you can't even get to these places where these fish were. And it's a little nerve-wracking, but it's not entirely undoable. You can find fish. But like I said, I want to get this boat ready. I want to redo some stuff and get ready for next season, basically the start of the year, and start doing more things. And a lot of it is in the spring and early spring, so it's still cold out, and you're gonna slow down. It's gonna be a finesse type thing, which is why I need to learn how to use my electronics better. Usually I'll have a game plan to go out there and do some finesse fishing and watch the baits on these screens and do all this stuff, and I just get locked into fishing, and that all goes out the window. I need to be more disciplined about how and when I practice and learn how to use some of this stuff. It is, like I said, these are very expensive toys. If you don't know how to use them right, it's kind of a waste of money. You don't need big ass screens and all. If you're not going to take the time to learn how to use them, it's kind of a waste of money. It really is. Like, you really just, if you're a good fisherman and you know where the fish are, you don't need all this stuff. I'm sure a lot of old timers will agree with me, but knowing some of these lakes, especially the deeper ones and their undulation and places where fish might hang out, some of this stuff's really important. But like I said, if you don't know how to read it, it's just a $2,500 thing on your dash. It's really cool looking. But that's that. Yeah, and it's that time of year, Jay, for people to start putting their boats away and winterizing. I mean, I'm thankful that I can fish year round here. We pretty much have winter in February for like 2 weeks. I'm sure someday that could change and become more of a big deal, but right now that's it. Oh, there's some little, I almost brought a pole with me. There's some of these little waterways right off the road. I should have brought one. Dang it. Maybe if I buy one up, that means I gotta buy a reel too. Dang. If I find some stuff up at Shields and I get time to go over there, maybe I'll get a little setup and try fishing these on the way home. Who's on here? How many people on here are coming to the tournament in May? I know Steven is. I know Christopher Lawrence is. I don't know if Jay is coming. Daryl Becker from Pennsylvania booked his reservation. That'll be fun. He's really excited about coming down. He's practicing. The event, supposedly, according to the Missouri Highway Patrol, should show up on the regatta site sometime in October. It's already been approved by the Corps of Engineers. So the next step for us in this tournament deal is we're going to have a meeting with the people that run the place and just go over everything for that weekend. Basically, if you're on the fence about it, we have the resort kind of blocked off. And if we can fill it up before a certain date, nobody else will be there but us, which is a nice thing. And I honestly, and I don't think Misty's awake, but I don't know exactly how many rooms they have available. But if you're interested in that, it's the Bridgeport Resort in Cape Fair, Missouri. There's only one, so it's easy to find. If you're looking for other accommodations, Cape Fair is the areas where the tournament is, so look at that on a map if you're trying to decide where you want to stay. We are going to have a barbecue. It's going to be glorious. We're going to do that on Saturday after day one. I'm assuming day two, people are probably going to want to be cleaning up and heading out on Sunday evening. So, we'll do a lot of the fun stuff on Saturday night, and then the business end of it will be the money given out for the winners and whatever side action there is. Like, there will be a big fish prize for a male and a female. and we may do another big crappie prize. And the bass stuff will be a 5 bass limit, 15 inches or bigger on all species. Largemouth, smallmouth, and spots and table rock have to be 15 inches to put in your lap well. You cannot weigh a dead fish, but you can't put a dead fish back in the lake. So if you kill a fish, you're going to lose, I forget what we did 2 years ago, but I believe you're going to lose anywhere from a half a pound to a pound of weight. I'm not going to totally punish you. Oh, we got Amish dude. There's an Amish guy in a cart. That's cool. So that's part of the deal. That's one of the rules that somebody asked me about dead fish. It's pretty self-explanatory. No live bait, no trolling. When you have the big motor on, you got to wear your life jackets. Now, that's not so much of a rule. It's just common sense. And Table Rock tends to have water patrol out more than other lakes. I have yet to see one on Bull Shoals Lake, but Table Rock's a different animal. There's more people there. It's got more visibility, so you're always going to see these kinds of people. Now, fishing licenses, you can buy them online the day of, in the morning, whenever you want. I want to say they're $7 a day ish. Don't quote me on that, but there's also there's Walmart's, there's also Bass Pro Shop sells licenses depending on when you're there, if you're there during hours. But worst case scenario, you can buy them online the morning of the tournament. And something to be careful of, I doubt where we're at, too many people are going to go to Arkansas. If you do plan on fishing the Table Rock part of Arkansas, you need a license. It's basically a White River license, they call it, where it's reciprocal. If you're on Bull Shoals or Table Rock and the water goes into Arkansas, it's another charge. It's like that license is a little more. And like I said, we're going to be so far north that I doubt a bunch of people are going to run to Arkansas. I could be wrong, but it's a hefty run, even if your boat's fast. You're going to spend a lot of money in gas. So that is something to think about, though. Rain gear. I would bring rain gear. I would always have rain gear in the spring, regardless of where you're fishing or what. Last year at Table Rock on our tournament, it rained for most, I'd say at least half of the fishing day. So that was kind of a, you can't foresee this when you plan out this far in advance. But on the other hand, a lot of people that want to do these tournaments and come to these things say they want advance. So this tournament, I want to say we gave 9 months of advance notice. And, we're just staying on top of it right now. There's not much we can do. We got the venue. There's 2 ramps right there that we could probably accommodate everybody in the tournament, assuming we had a 50 to 75 boat event. 75 boats is our cap. If we hit that, we're not going to have any more boaters in it. And first place is around $6,000 at 75 boat field. It's a lot of money. There will be I don't know how we're going to do that. In light of what's happened in the fishing community and the cheating scandal, I just hope that everybody behaves. I don't think we're going to have an issue. We didn't at the last event. We've never had one at anything I've done. But, you know, you got to just do the right thing. I'm going to a wedding. My baby T's cousin, Stephanie, I guess that makes her my cousin now. I've been married since 2007. Stephanie's getting married to Greg tonight at 5 o'clock. So Tab and the kids, they got up there last night. And I had to work yesterday and take care of the animals. And so I'm coming up this morning. We got a house sitter for the animals. Excuse me. These energy drinks give me a little bit of a burp. That's probably why I don't drink them a whole lot. And then I always have water. You gotta have water. Here's that wind. So apparently they've been talking about all this wind coming in today. There's a red flag warning in Missouri. It got cold. Like, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it was like cold. High 20s overnight in the morning. And then warmed up. And then today, it's already 76 degrees. It's 10:30 in the morning. It's supposed to be in the mid 80s. And then this wind is coming in, bringing cooler air, and they're saying if there's any pop-up storms, it could get interesting. I can't do anything about the weather. I just have to exist within it. And I'm not fishing, so I don't have to worry about it. Tell you what, it is gorgeous out here. And I mean, I'm from a state originally, Washington State, before it got all messed up politically. You know, trees everywhere. Very beautiful place. Then I moved to Arizona for about 18 years, and there again, incredible place to look around and just see nature. It's just different. It's a whole different look. And then I come out here and it's the same thing. It's a whole different look. I mean, there are trees everywhere. Even in farmland country out where I'm at right now, I mean, there are miles of trees, and right now they're changing colors. It's glorious. We are gonna do a giveaway. I'm gonna do it probably Sunday or Monday this week. I got some stuff to give away. I got some Woody's custom baits. I got it'll be a 3 jig package, or we got some of these MJB lures by Shonka Lures to give away still. I got crankbaits and one of the walking baits. I'm thinking about doing one of the Shonka Lures and one of the Woody's together, and, you know, give away 3 little packages. I do have some fish catches with weights that I can go ahead and use for that. Oh, we're going over Truman Lake right now. It is so full of trees and sticks. I've never fished here. I guess there's big ass catfish in here, and people catch a lot of bass. So I guess at some point I'll have to come up here. They do a lot of tournaments at Truman Lake as well. But this is one of them places where if you don't know what you're doing, you could destroy your boat. So there's that. go back to talking about selling my boat for a minute. You know, a lot of people were like, why didn't you put it up for sale everywhere? Well, most people are not going to drive 2,000 miles to pick up a boat. You know, so I basically put the boat up for sale where I live, and then it becomes people's search parameters. I think the biggest you can go is 500-mile radius from where you're, like my zip code is what I put in. So it's a 500-mile radius if I look for boats, and that's how I found mine. I did a 500-mile radius search, and it went all the way to LaPorte, Indiana. And thankfully, I found the nitro that I found and got a good deal. But on this Heritage, you know, your limit. Somebody that buys this boat is probably within 200 miles of me, would be my guess. One of the people that wants to look at it next week is very nearby. I would say 10 minutes away. So that makes it easy. I might meet this gentleman down at Lake Taneycomo and put the boat in the water and go for a ride. That's the best way, I think, to show stuff, is to, you know, get out on the water and go for a rip. I mean, I know a lot of people don't live that close to the water, so it's a little more of a hassle, but you put a lot of people's minds at ease if they actually drive the boat and witness, you know, all the things working the way they should. There's a guy bass fishing right out here, 2 of them. This is, you know, I don't know if Truman Lake is a crappie spot. I don't know. Someday I'll come down here. We're almost to Clinton, Missouri. A guy in his Subaru is really, or no, is this a Cadillac? This guy in his Cadillac is all over the house. He seems to want to go fast. So, is anybody watching, hold on. It says no left turn. This guy's making a left turn. It says no left turn. Now there's a left turn. I forgot what I was going to ask you guys. Oh! I noticed that the Major League Fishing deal, or I don't know who runs which organization, I forget, but the one that has where they can catch as many fish as they want and they weigh them all day, I saw that they're toying around with changing that to a 5-fish limit deal instead, or maybe mix it up. I don't know. I kind of like both formats, but I think the weigh-in deal is a way for them to get what do you call it? I think they're trying to get more participation. You know, get weighing these fish in front of the crowd or people that show up to watch is a big deal. I think they're trying to bring that together again, because ultimately the fans don't get to watch these weigh-ins happening out on the water, and you can't watch them. They can't be on at the same time. I mean, they only have so much time on TV to show all this. So you know, they bounce around from guy to guy, and not everybody has a cameraman on the boat that day. I don't think, until they get down to just a small group of people. So it's an interesting topic, and I kind of like the idea of a live weigh-in, and you don't really know what's happening until it happens. On this, the way they're doing it right now, they weigh them, and there's a tally, there's a scoreboard that's pretty much live as it's happening. The marshal on the boat's weighing the fish and then turning that in, and they're inputting that, and you know, they know exactly who's in what place all throughout the day. The last one I watched was Dustin Connell. He won the last one of their series, and he knew he'd won while he was sitting out in the middle of the lake, which to the fishermen, that's what matters, that you win. But you know, as far as like the crowd having that connection to that, the only way you're really going to have that is to have like a live weigh-in to bring the crowd into that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But if I was voting, I'd rather do a 5-fish live weigh-in and do that. Tracker Boats. This is the Nitro shop. I take it back. Maybe Clinton, Missouri is what I meant. Yeah, I was wrong. We're in Clinton, Missouri, and this is where the Nitros are made, not Bolivar. That was my bad. Hey, Joe. If you're still on, sorry. I'm just driving, talking about what's on my mind a little bit. If you're joining in and you didn't see, the beginning is all about the sale of the Heritage. And then the second thing I moved into was about the Big Bass Bash, for anybody that wants to know what happened there. It was, if anybody didn't see this, I had a great time. It just didn't go my way as far as big fish. I mean, a lot of people didn't. There was a couple thousands of people involved, and only about 20% of them got a check. So, you know, there's that. They did give away a boat. I didn't touch on that. They gave away a brand new Phoenix, like an 18-foot, 8-inch Phoenix, right around there, with 150 horse Merc on it. Believe it. I didn't go look closely at it, but I believe it had a package with a trolling motor and graphs on the front and at the helm. So, somebody won that just by entering. You didn't have to catch a fish at all. It was a gentleman from Illinois. So kudos to him for just, you know, it comes with your entry fee. You're basically put into a raffle. There was also a raffle for 22 or more $500 cash payouts. I suck at raffles. I need to practice harder. Yeah, I have a 3-bank 10 amp charger on my Nitro, but it's one model too old to do lithium. So I'm just gonna buy a single NOCO charger that will do lithium and what other batteries, just to do the one battery up front. And then I'm gonna leave my charging system alone in the back. I'm still not sold on lithium batteries. for my whole setup. I find it fascinating that some of these batteries are under $200 for a 50 amp hour, and then some are $1,000. So, you know, if I do this, it's going to be one battery up front to run just the LiveScope stuff, and I'll see what goes on. Apparently, the lithium batteries will run throughout its chargeable span at a higher amperage rating than just if you were on a 12 volt lead acid battery. Hi Greg. Hi Gizmo. Everybody's waking up. I didn't know if anybody'd be on here at all. I just thought I would talk, and if somebody wanted to watch it, well, hell, they might watch. I gotta drive anyway. It's getting warm though. Clifton's Carpet Shop in the middle of nowhere. Uh-oh, we got the Hells Angels coming up on our 6. You'll see them. Hi Larry. There's some Hells Angels right here. There they are. Oh boy. This is a small gang of 3. Alright. So, yeah. A weekend off of fishing to decompress, enjoy this. My wife's whole family, for the most part, is going to be in Kansas City, and I'm sure I'm going to have to take pictures. I did bring a sport coat. I don't wear sport coats very often anymore. In fact, every couple of years. Funerals and weddings. I do have a question. Oh, Steven, good morning. Good morning, Steve. We've got a bunch of people. All right. Has anybody tried a new lure this fall that is doing it for them? Just curious. I tend to be a little old school. My lures buy newer baits, but they're all pretty standard issue as far as standing the test of time as a lure. You know, crankbaits, spinner baits, top water. You know, these things, crawdad pattern on a Texas rig. You know, these are all things that have been around forever. Is there anybody doing something that came out recently that maybe I don't know about that's working? Weighted wacky rigs. I have seen this. You screw the weight into one end of the wacky rig. I personally have just started dabbling with the wacky rig. I know I'm late to the party, but it just wasn't in my repertoire to even throw a Senko, whether it be rig straight, weightless. I have caught some nice ones on like a weighted jig head, and so those, you know, those things, I don't think you can go wrong with any kind of worm and a Texas rig application. The wacky rig stuff, like I said, it's new to me. I caught a nice one out at Taneycomo a few weeks ago with my father-in-law. It's about 2.5 pounder. On a wacky rig that was made for, Senkos that were made by a subscriber, and I've had them for a long time. I think we're getting out into the farm country a little bit. May drop a signal. If it does, I'm sorry. and I'll get back with you guys later. But yeah, the wacky rig, I think it's something that I'm going to do more of, especially when I find docks. That seems to be the move around docks. Now I hope these motorcyclists, they're tripping me out. Okay. The wacky rig deal, though, for me, yeah, I'm definitely going to start playing around with it more. Senko, probably not until there's some debris in the water. All the debris is on the banks right now, and that's kind of a crappy time of year, too. So when the lake starts to fill up again, it just, as it goes up, it picks all the logs up from the shorelines and puts them back in the lake to float around as they see fit. Last Memorial Day, me and a couple of the neighbors spent about 2 hours moving logs just so we could have a path to launch one boat at a time. So, you know, these are things that, you know, having a glass boat now, you gotta be way more careful. Like, I didn't mind like dragging a log out and it kind of resting against the aluminum boat, but on a boat that's got a clear coat of metal flake, you do not want this problem. Trust me. Yeah, the Nico rig, there's all kinds of these rigs that are newer ideas on how to rig a plastic, and you know, I think some of it's gimmickry, but you know, for example, I'm going to give you an example. The Ned rig's been out for a long time now, and I think the fish have seen it now. They've seen it a lot, especially at some of these finessey lakes, Table Rock, even Bull Shoals. That's a great finesse bite. But these fish have seen the Ned rig, and I don't care what color it is. They're basically probably at this point conditioned to not bite that, and that the Ned rig does something that is inherently bad. It's so small that what happens is the fish inhales it. When it opens its mouth, it gets that whole thing in, and sometimes by the time you realize that you even have a fish, he's already trying to swallow that little meal. And once that hook gets inside of basically his esophagus right there, you're going to have trouble keeping some of these fish alive. The hook's going to be buried in there when you realize there's a tug or there's resistance, and you set the hook. I mean, these fish are going to bleed out in your live well. I had a great conversation about this with D-Beck. It's a way to kill fish when you don't have to. In a tournament, you watch a lot of these pros. They push a ton of gear. You know, you got to have this, you got to have that. But the majority of their fishing is finesse. Whether it be drop shot, Ned rig, wacky rig, Senko weighted, you know, any one of those varieties, they are using old school methods to win tournaments. The difference is the live scope. But you don't see these guys using a lot of fancy techniques. They're using old school techniques to fish. It's where they're fishing. It's finding brush piles in the middle of a lake that nobody else knows about. These are all things that pros are really good at doing. Finding fish in water. Boy, the biker gang is just wanting to. I don't know why they're riding why they feel the need on this 2-lane highway to ride side by side. Just makes zero sense to me. Unless they're, I mean, it's too small of a gang to be afraid of them. Sorry about the sidebar. But, where are we here? Harrisonville is 21 miles away. I have no idea. Let's see here. I probably got a little over an hour to go to Kansas City. So, you guys, let's see what anybody said. Yeah, Greg Vincent, that is very wise. People were hooking worms and doing all kinds of weird stuff before it ever had a name. And now that it's got a name associated to it, it's got a brand. And it's all about selling stuff. These companies wouldn't exist if they didn't make something new that people will buy. There's a handful of companies out there that have existed forever making just certain things. And, you know, like Head On is one of them, making different topwater baits. They don't really get into anything else. And they haven't really changed it up much. Why fix it if it ain't broke? I gotta go around this 70s Corvette. This is killing me. It's got T-tops and it's a Stingray. Does he have... No. That's a late 70s one. No bueno. Gas hog. I got about another hour. I don't think I'll stay live. I might, like I said, I don't know what the internet's like. There's a tower right here, so that's helpful. But I got basically an hour to go to get up to the Blue Springs area of Kansas City. It's been a nice drive, though. I am getting hungry. I'll probably wait until I get up there, pick up something to eat, and take it to the hotel. Can't wait to see Baby T and the kids. I like going. I don't mind going to weddings at all. They usually are good parties. This particular wedding has an open bar, and a shuttle service to and from the hotel to the wedding venue. So no driving, even better. But like I said, the weddings, I think we got to be there a little early for some family pictures and stuff. But I believe the shuttle goes back at 9:30 and 11:30. 11:30 is a long time to party after a wedding. That's like 5+ hours of party. And now that I'm damn near 50, that might be too much party for me. Where are we? There's a nice setup right here. I've only driven up here, well, shoot, this is probably the 6th or 7th time I've driven this way on this highway in my life. Come up to Kansas City a couple times or through it since I've lived here, and then passing through on longer road trips. When I brought the Heritage from Tucson to New York, I came this way. And I will say one thing about Missouri. Their roads are excellent. As far as potholes, there's none of that. And there's not a lot of activity from law enforcement. So they kind of let you drive. But, you know, you also don't want to be an idiot. Because they'll ring you up for sure, you know, if you're being a moron out here on the highway. But you can kind of get away with 5 or 10 over and not have to worry about it. And, you know, ultimately that's fast enough. Usually when I'm driving out this way, I'm towing a boat. So, you know, you got to keep it respectable if you want your boat to be alive. True, this is a great example of different. Yeah, you guys know I'm a big fan of talking about fall rate. That ultimately, I think, more important than lure selection, whether you're using a Carolina rig, weighted, weightless Texas rig. I use these Dragon Heads that are made by Bass Pro Shops. Pretty stout hook, EWG hook with basically a round weight that's flat on one side. They're 3-packs of them are like $4, $4.50 or something. But I believe in them, and I will rig worms on that, crawdads, creature baits of all kinds, brush hogs. The trench hog by the Guggen company is about as big as I'll go on a creature bait, and that's I mean, it's a pretty big creature bait when you get 7 to 8 inches about, I think, and they're great. They catch fish, but the regardless of you know how you rig it, fall rate, depending on time of year, where you're fishing, the structure, if you're ledge fishing, it's, to me, ledge fishing is where fall rate is most important. So you're fishing up against these cliffs, and if you pay attention as the water levels go up and down, you'll see these areas where fish can go back in these little caves, and they'll back up in there and wait for something to just fall down the face of that. Now, the colder the water gets, the slower, and this is just a rule of thumb, this doesn't mean this is the only way, but this is a way that I have found that works for me. As it gets colder, fall, springtime, my bait's gonna get smaller. I'm gonna use jewel peewee jigs with 2.5-inch swim baits that match. So if I'm using like a bluegill color or a perch color, I'm gonna be using basically what's called a male perch swim bait that Bass Pro sells. If you want to know what it looks like, it's kind of orangish with a yellow in it and some flake. Looks great on the jewel peewee jigs that are bluegill or perch pattern. A huge fan of this. Now, 1/4 ounce to 3/8 ounce in these particular jigs, and they're little, is perfect for that fall rate of slowing it down. And as it comes down and there's these little cutouts, the fish sees it long enough to get interested. Now, if you're using a 1/2 ounce or bigger, when the fish are being finicky and, you know, their metabolism slows down, they're not willing to strike, it's going to go so fast past them that they'll see it and just let it go because they don't want to work that hard. Now it's not every time. There's going to be fish that are going to eat. There's a big misconception. A lot of people are like, well, fish don't eat when it gets cold out. They eat year round. They have to. Their meals become technically bigger and fewer and far between. So don't forget about throwing like big swim bait, because you can get into these 4+ pounders. You know, they eat a 4 or 5 inch swim bait. They're looking at that as a meal that might last them a day, as opposed to, like, you know, you got little finesse baits on a Ned rig or a drop shot. Yeah, so you got those as examples to go by as far as, you know, fall rate. Fall rate also you can think about that when you're throwing things like crankbaits. How fast your bait gets down to the level that it runs at. So I'd say the majority of crankbaits I throw are between 8 and 12 foot. Sometimes you go deeper. If you're throwing around 20 foot deep crankbaits, you're going to get old fast. You got to be in shape to do that. I'm telling you, after an hour of just throwing a 20 foot crankbait, you will be tired. But it is a good method. It is a good way to catch fish when you know they're at that depth. A lot of the areas that I look for, I throw a crankbait quite a bit. There's always one tied on. But for me, that 8 to 12 foot range is my money range. I don't probably throw around square bills and shallower diving crankbaits as much as I should. There's a lot of life in these lakes that have a lot of ledge fishing and a lot of rock and changes of the style of rock. You can come across a chunk rock for 100 yards, 100 feet, whatever, and then all of a sudden small, basically 1-inch gravel. This is the kind of place where you want to also think about fall rate of whatever you're doing, and don't be afraid to throw topwater in these areas. This is where smallmouth are going to thrive, and smallmouth will go after topwater, absolutely. And there's almost nothing better than catching a 3 or 4 pound smallmouth on a topwater bait. They hit it like it owes it money, and of course, anybody that's caught both species, smallmouth, 4 pound smallmouth is like playing with an 8 pound largemouth. Now, I don't know what an 8 pound largemouth feels like on a rod because I've never caught one, but I get it. I'm on I-49. I'll tell you, 1 second. There's a mile. I don't know what highway I'm on. Let me see. I'm going towards Harrisonville. And I have yet to see a mile marker now. I am 6 miles from Harrisonville. I just passed a Guns and Ammo store called Fat Boys. Looked like they had an outdoor smoking area, which is a good idea in a gun shop. Here's something else while I'm thinking about fall rate. Spinner baits are an excellent method year-round, and you can do it in all kinds of applications. The only thing you probably don't want to throw a spinner bait in is heavy grass or hydrilla. You'll spend all day reeling in miles of that stuff. So I'd probably not do that unless you can stay above it or find little channels. But here's the deal. My favorite weight of a spinnerbait is a 1/2 ounce. I feel like I can long cast it. I can also be finessey with it where, you know, you might be flipping into some bushes in only 10 or 15 feet from the boat and letting that fall. And the size of the blades also make a big difference on your fall rate. They propeller down, but a lot of bites will come on a spinnerbait on the fall, and it seems weird, but it happens, especially smallmouth. So when it hits the water, you want that bait, you know, depending on your situation. Now, if you're around a lot of cover, you're throwing into bushes and stuff, you might have to adjust for that and start reeling before it falls too far. You could be underneath a branch, or you try not to get hung up. But if you're in an area that is rocky and it's got big boulders and you're gonna snake it through areas like that, let it go all the way down. Let it fall, and then you want to reel that bait basically as slow as you can, like a, I don't know, 6/8 to 1. Just short. It's just basically enough to get that blade to spin. And as you're bouncing off of things, and the fish are going to hear it, they're going to feel it. If the water's dirty, obviously chartreuse or white or both. If it's really dirty, I might even throw a Colorado blade on it. That gives it an extra thump. They're going to hear it too, far away, as opposed to like the willow blades, which also vibrate and make noise. But for me, like a gold willow blade is more of a bright color for them to see, and the Colorado blade's more musical. It's going to be louder. It's going to thump more. But both of them, and you should always have a spinnerbait tied on. White and chartreuse. I'd say the most success I have is with gold blades, regardless of willow or Colorado. But the best place to throw these in, like on main lake areas, is where I would say 6 to 10 feet where the bank goes down and where it flattens out. You want to be right in that cut where it goes from a bank to flat, right up against that, going parallel. You're going to get the fish come up from offshore, and you're going to get those fish coming down off of any kind of structure or boulder. You're kind of fishing both avenues where these fish are going to hang out. This is a big deal. Oh boy. Where are we? 4971-7 north to Kansas City. I think that's where I want to go. 4971 to Joplin goes like this. So we're going to go to Kansas City. I'm doing this without maps. Oh, come on. Come on, bikers. You guys are killing me. This guy's kickstand's down. I don't know if he knows this. And as far as topwater goes, I throw that basically 14 foot or less. Once in a blue moon and 20 or 30 feet of water, I'll throw topwater around main lake points that I know fish are suspended in like 6 to 8 feet of water. They may come up and grab it, but most of my topwater success out here in all three lakes, Taneycomo, Table Rock, Bull Shoals, most of my big bites come with 2 to 5 feet of water. And I've caught some nice fish in less than 2 feet of water. 3 and 4 pounders. Most of the bites come fish around wood or boulders. Big pieces of flat chunk rock mixed in with gravel around it. They'll sit underneath it, or in little spots. So it's a good... Oh shit, gas is cheaper up here. It's like $3.49, $3.59 in Branson. Up here, it's $3.25. The Loves. Anyway, and somebody asked me recently, when do I know what size of a walking bait, spook, what have you? How do I know what size to throw? Because there's basically 3 different sizes. The Spook Junior, there's a Spook, and then the Super Spook or whatever. I mean, I'm giving you size ranges, but it's anywhere from 3 inches to 6 inches. And when it gets windy and choppy, I tend to throw the biggest one I got in white or black. And that's going to have 3 hooks in it. There's going to be a hook on the tail, the belly, and up front. So if fish are short striking you on a smaller one, like a Spook Junior, that only has 2 hooks on it, I will go up to the medium with 3 hooks or the bigger one with 3 hooks to try to negate that short strike and that extra hook pick up that fish. Now, my favorite size is the Junior, the small one. I tend to throw that 90% of the time, and when it's calm, for sure. When it's dead calm and I'm picking out targets, I am absolutely throwing that, the smallest one, and very pointed where I'm going with it. Logs, single little tree branches that stick out of the water are great spots to target. You can't really see it above the water, but fish will hang out right next to one of those. I don't know why. It's not like it's cover. It's one stick. Maybe he scratches his back on it. I don't know. But that's the deal. You want to be targeted with your cast with these spooks. Oh, if you can find shade on a hot day and like some rockery or like some laydowns, that is absolutely where you want to be looking. And honestly, you can catch them year-round on topwater like that. It gets a little more difficult, but when you do find fish that'll eat topwater in the wintertime, they tend to be a little bigger. So I always try. I've had a lot of success. I believe February is the only month I have not caught a topwater fish in Missouri, which I will make it a point to do it. I mean, I caught them in January, caught them in March, December, November. It can be done. I just didn't fish as many days. I think I only fished 3 or 4 days in February last year, so I didn't really give it a fair shot. But I will say that topwater size of lure really matters. I don't know that color matters as much. When it's bright and sunny out, I'm going to use a brighter bait. It gives it more flash, and the fish will see it from further away. When it's muddy, I'm using white or black, and it's going to be like a one knocker. Bigger, basically knocking balls. And I just, to me, that's more successful than like the top waters that have like a bunch of BBs inside of it. For me, it doesn't work. For others, it's probably the best bait. Now, Randy Blackhat made a video here recently that said why bone-colored lures don't work anymore, or white. I strongly disagree. I can't identify with that. I catch so many fish on a white spook that it's not even funny. So I don't know where he's coming from, and supposedly he fishes these lakes down here all the time. I have caught bass on every spook that Steve and I made colors and designed. Good fish on all of them. But by far, the most eaten spook in the repertoire is the white one, whether it has gills or not. That pearl white color is what they want to eat. They'll eat the rest of them, but if you're on the fence about ever buying one of these, I would buy a big one and a little one in white and start there. if you live in an area or you fish at night a lot, a black one is also a great thing. Oh my God. I think I'm getting into Kansas City. Traffic's starting to suck. So I'll tell you what, you guys, I think I'm going to go here and, yeah, I think we're on the outskirts of traffic now, and I'm going to let you guys go, but I appreciate you coming along for the ride. Like I said, if you're interested in hearing about the boat and pricing and all that, it's at the very beginning of this video. Just go start it and watch the first 5 or 10 minutes. Talks about the boat, and then it talks about the Big Bass Bash at Lake of the Ozarks, if you're interested in that, and then the rest of it's kind of random thoughts. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will be back. Like I said, we're going to do a giveaway on Sunday or Monday, and I'll definitely let you guys know I'm going live before